ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe. If you don't know by now, well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe. It'll never do somehow. Rooster crows up, gone. Look out your window and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm traveling on. Don't think twice, it's alright. But it ain't no good at turning on a light, babe. A light I never know. But it ain't no good at turning on a light, babe. I'm on the dark side of the road. I wish there was something you could do or say to try and make me change my mind and stay. But we never did too much talking anyway. Don't think twice, it's alright. But it ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, like you never did before. Well, it ain't no use in calling out my name, gal. I can't hear anymore. I'm thinking and wondering, I'm walking down the road. Once loved a woman, a child, I'm told. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Don't think twice, it's alright. So long, honey, babe. Where I'm bound, I can't tell. Goodbye is too good a word, babe. So I'll just say very well. I'm not saying you cheated me, I'm kind. You could have done better, but I don't mind. You just wasted my precious time. Don't think twice, it's alright.
Be more than a listener. Become a member today with a contribution at WUMB.org.
Wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accepting that some will be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the time they are a I'm writing and reading over all the sides with your hand. And keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't keep too soon, for the wheel is still in spin. And there's no telling who let it be. For the loser, I'll be there to win. For the time they are a Senators, Congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway of the house. No, for he that gets there will leave you as gone. And the battle outside is raging. It'll soon take your windows and rattle your walls. For the time they are a throughout the land. And don't criticize if you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand, for the times they are a-changing. The light is on, the curtain is past. The slow one now will later be past, and the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly aging, and the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing. It means nothing. My age, it means nothing. The country I come from is called Midwest. I was taught and raised up there. The laws too blind. Not the land that I live in has God on her side. The history books tell it. They tell it so well. The cavalry charge, the Indians there. The cavalry charge, the Indians died. The country was young, with God on our side. Through many a dark hours, I've been thinking about this. That Jesus Christ was betrayed by a kiss. But I can't think for you. You'll have to decide whether Jesus carry on and God on his side. And now as I'm leaving, I'm feeling kind of tired. The confusion I'm feeling got my head on wide. The words fill my brain and fall to the floor. Because he's on our side. He'll stop the next war. That is Ramblin' Jack Elliott at his most, for lack of a better term, commercial. He was on Reprise Records, a major label there for a while. 1970s Bull Durham Sax and Railroad Tracks album. He covered 5 Dylan songs, and I'm not sure what's going on there at the end, but it scares me every time I hear it. With God on Our Side. Peter, Paul, and Mary before that, from their in-concert album from 1964, they thought enough of The Times They Are A-Changin', which was a brand new song at that point in time, to open the concert with that song. David Graham from Folk, Blues, and Beyond did Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Hamilton Camp was the title track to Paths or Palms of Victory. 1964, 7 Dylan covers on that album. Coming up next, a couple of folks who put out all Dylan albums, one in 1965 and one in 1968. That would be Odetta and Joan Baez on Highway 61 Revisited. But in the more immediate future, Ian and Sylvia, Bob Lind, covering Bob for his 77th. All after these here at WUNB.
How you gonna have a dream come true? NRBQ joins us this week on the Mountain Stage, along with Cat Edmondson, Lindsay Lou, the Wooks, and the Match Sellers.
Hi, this is Terry Adams of NRBQ. Join us this week in live performance on Mountain Stage.
This afternoon at 2 on WUNB. Join WUNB for our next Third Thursday live concert broadcast. The special guest artist, Melissa Ferrick, Thursday, June 21st.
I believe I'm settling in.
UMB's Third Thursday concert series is held at the Barn Back Room in Davis Square, Somerville. It's open to the public, but WUNB members get a 15% ticket discount. Each show is broadcast in its entirety live on WUNB. WUNB's next Third Thursday concert, live with Melissa Ferrick, Thursday, June 21st. Tickets and info at WUNB.org.
Sometimes it seems like everyone is angry these days. People are angry about the economy, immigration, education, you name it. But what are the political consequences of all that anger? What happens when that anger gets translated into votes and into policy?
Reward is a much more effective controller of behavior or influencer than punishment. Nevertheless, the American system is really characterized by a very high level of punitiveness.
Next on Commonwealth Journal, we're talking to UMass Boston professor of psychology Michael Milburn about his book, Raised to Rage, The Politics of Anger and the Roots of Authoritarianism.
The higher levels of childhood punishment, spanking, that people reported, the more conservative and authoritarian their political attitudes were, particularly if they were male and had never had any experience with psychotherapy.
That's what's coming up this week on Commonwealth Journal.
Sunday morning at 7:30 on WUNB.
Folk rock from the 60s, 70s, and beyond. This is Highway 61 Revisited on WUNB.
If today was not an endless highway, if tonight was not a crooked train, if tomorrow wasn't such a long time, then lonesome would mean nothing to me at all. Yes, and only if my old love was waiting, and if I could hear her heart softly pounding, only if she was lying by me, and I'd lie in my bed once again. I can't see my reflection in the water. I can't speak the sound that know no pain. I can't hear the echo of my footsteps
I can't remember the sound of my own name. Yes, and only if my own true love was waiting, and if I could hear her heart softly pounding, only if she was lying by me, and I'd lie in my bed once again. There's beauty in the silver singing river. There's beauty in the sunrise in the sky. But none of these and nothing else can match the beauty that I remember in my true love's eyes. Yes, and only if my own true love was waiting, and if I could hear her heart softly pounding, only if she was lying by me, and I'd lie in my bed once again. Come on, all you people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. Your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you sink like a stone, but the times they are changing. All you writers and critics who prophesy with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon while the wheel's still in spin. There's no telling who that it's naming, 'cause the loser now may be later the win, 'cause the signs they are changing. All you senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, 'cause him who gets hurt will be him who has stalled. The battle outside raging will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, 'cause the times they are changing. All you mothers and fathers throughout the land, don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can lend your hand, 'cause the times they are a-changing. The stone it is hurled and the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last. 'Cause the times they are a-changing.
Listen online at WUMB.org.
to preach of peace and brotherhood. What might be the cost? Man, he did it long ago when they hung him on the cross. Long far away. Those things don't happen nowadays. The chains of slaves, they dragged the ground with heads and hearts hung low. But it was during Lincoln's time, and it was long ago, far away. Things like that don't happen nowadays. The war guns, they bombed and blazed, the whole world bled in blood. His bodies rotted on the ground, the graves were made in mud long far away. Little things like that don't happen nowadays. One man had much money, one man had not enough to eat. One man lived just like a king, the other man begged on the streets long ago, far away. Now things like that don't happen no more nowadays. One man died from a knife so sharp, one man died from the bullet of a gun. One man died from a broken heart to see the religion of his son long ago, far away. Long things like that don't happen nowadays. Gladiators killed themselves, it was during the Roman times. People cheered with bloodshot grins, their eyes and minds went blind along far away. Nothing like that don't happen nowadays. To talk of peace, a brotherhood, from one might be the cost. A many cities long ago, they hung him on the cross long ago, far away. Those things that don't happen nowadays. Long ago, far away. Those things like that don't happen no more nowadays. Those things like that don't happen nowadays.
My love, she speaks like silence, without ideals of violence. She doesn't have to say she's faithful, yet she's true, like ice, like fire. People carry roses, make promises by the hours. My love, she laughs like the flowers Valentine's can't buy. Dime stores and bus stations, people talk of situations, read books, repeat quotations, draw conclusions on the wall. Some speak of the future. My love, she speaks softly. She knows there's no success like failure, and that failure's no success at all. Cloak and dagger dangles, madams light the candles, ceremonies of the horsemen, even the palm must hold a grudge. Statues made of matchsticks crumble into one another. My love winks, she does not bother. She knows too much to argue or to judge. The bridge at midnight trembles. The country doctor angles. Bankers' nieces seek perfection, expecting all the gifts that wise men bring. The wind howls like a hammer. Night grows cold and rainy. My love, she's like some raven at my window with a broken wing.
Joan Baez covering Dylan's Love Minus Zero, No Limit from Any Day Now, 1968. All Dylan covers on this album. Who better? Who better to cover Dylan? Especially back then. She had the inside scoop, so to speak. And in fact, 6 of the songs on that album had not been included on official Dylan releases at that point in time. I think this was pre-bootlegging, actually. And she took it a step further and did illustrations for each of the songs, which was included in the gatefold of the album. And people liked it because it sold something like 500,000 or 600,000 copies within a year or so. And before that, Odetta, who kind of beat her to the punch, Odetta Sings Dylan from 1965. She and Dylan had crossed paths at civil rights rallies, doing Long Ago, Far Away again. A bold move for that point in time, and not a lot of obvious Dylan covers as well. Bob Lynn did Bob's The Times They Are A-Changin', and Tomorrow Is a Long Time with Ian and Sylvia, going all the way back to 1963's 4 Strong Winds. It is Highway 61 Revisited. If you're just joining in, Bob Dylan turned 77 day before yesterday. This is our annual All Dylan show. So we have another 3 hours and 21 and a half minutes of nothing but Dylan till 12 o'clock. Sometime next hour, I think early next hour, I will be giving away a pair of tickets to see David Crosby, by the way. He's playing the Lowell Summer Music Series June 14th. That is a Thursday, so check your calendar. Judy Collins coming up, Nina Simone, also covering Dylan, all after these. Zero WUMB.
Hi, it's Helen Forster from E-Town. I hope you'll join us this week. We've got the American indie rock band Calexico with us. Plus, iconic Texas singer-songwriter Ray Wiley Hubbard joins us too. And we'll have an incredible Achievement Award story this week, all for you in E-Town.
Tomorrow morning at 6 on WUMB.
Plan a safer getaway this Memorial Day weekend by upgrading to a safer ride, letting WUMB take care of that less reliable vehicle. From cars and trucks to RVs and trailers, WUMB accepts all types of vehicles as a form of support, and the pickup is always free. Donating is easy. Your gift is tax deductible, and supporting WUMB will bring more value to the start of your summer than any low trade-in deal. Call now or go online now. It's easy. 1-855-WUMB-CAR. That's 1-855-WUMB-CAR, or visit us online at WUMB.org.
Dylan, The Byrds, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, and more. This is Highway 61 Revisited with Alberto on WUMB.
Lay down your weary to lay down. Lay down the song you strung, and rest yourself with the strength of strings. No voice can hold too hard. struck by the sound before the sun. I knew the night had gone. The morning breeze like a bugle blew against the drums of dawn. The ocean wild like an organ played. The seaweeds wove its strand. The crashing waves like cymbals flash against the rocks and sand. I stood unwound beneath the sky, and clouds unbound by love. The crying rain like a trumpet sang, and asked for more love. Lay down your weary to lay down. Lay down the soft stars and rest yourself in the snow stream. Oh, boys came home tonight.
I pity the poor immigrant who wishes he would have stayed home, who uses all his power to do evil, and in the end is always left alone. Like man with his fingers cheats, and who lies with every breath, who passionately hates his life, and likewise feels his death. I pity the poor immigrant whose strength is all in vain, whose heaven is like iron sighs, whose tears fall like rain. Who eats what is not satisfied? Who hears but does not see? Who falls in love with wealth and self and turns his back on me? the poor immigrant who travels through the mud, who fills his mouth with laughing and who fills his town with love, whose visions in their final end must shatter like the glass. I pity the poor immigrant, for his gladness comes back.
You're listening to WUMB.
She takes just like a woman. Yes, she does. And she makes love just like a woman. And she aches just like a woman. But she breaks like a little bird. Nobody feels in pain. Night as I stand inside the rain, everybody knows baby's got new clothes. Lately I see her ribbons and her bows and the problems from her curls. She takes just like a woman. Yes, she does. And she makes love just like a woman. And she aches just like a woman. And she breaks like a little girl. It was raining from the first. Everybody knows I was dying first. So I came here a long time discuss. And what's worse is this pain. Yeah, I can't stay here. I believe it's time for us to quit. We begin, been introduced as friends. Please be let know that you knew me when I was hungry, and it was your word. I take just like a woman. Yes, I do. And I make love just like a woman. And I just like a woman. But I breathe just like a little girl.
Close your eyes, close the door. Oh, you don't have to worry anymore. I'll be your baby tonight. Shut the light, shut the shade. Oh, you don't have to be afraid. I'll be your baby tonight. Rivet mockingbird's gonna sing away, but we're gonna forget it. That big bad moon is gonna shine like a spoon, but we gonna let it. You only gotta kick your shoes off and do not fear. I'll bring that bottle over here. I'll be your baby tonight. That big fat moon is gonna shine like a spoon, but we gonna let it. You won't regret it. Keep your shoes off and do not fear. Oh, bring that bottle of wine over here. I'll be your baby tonight.
Jeff and Maria Muldaur, Pottery Pie, 1968, one of two albums they put out. And Dylan's I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, indelible stamp. And that's the great thing about Dylan songs, even though they're totally his songs, they're open to interpretation. So whoever interprets or covers them, they all sound different. They all sound different. Especially in the case of Nina Simone, who owns Just Like a Woman from Here Comes the Sun. That was a 1971 album. Judy Collins, Did I Pity the Poor Immigrant? And Jim and Jean. Jim Glover, Jean Ray, from one of three albums they put out back in the mid-'60s. And yes, even they electrified. But not necessarily on that song. That's from the album Changes. They covered Eric Anderson, David Blue, three Phil Oakes songs. They roomed with Phil Oakes, and he actually wrote the liner notes to the album as well. But a nice stripped-down version of Lay Down Your Weary Tune. Here on Highway 61 Revisited, we'll get back to Dylan himself from the bootleg series. There's a lot of them, Volume 12, in just a few minutes. But right now, from the Basement Tapes, Bob Dylan and the band here at WUMB.
Down the street, the dogs are barking, and the day is growing dark. If the night comes in the falling, these dogs will lose the bark. Sidewalks from the sound inside my mind. And I'm one too many mornings and 1,000 miles. From the crossroads of my doorstep, my eyes they begin to fade. And I turn my head back to the room where my loving I have laid. And I face back to the street, the sidewalk and the sign. And I'm one too many mornings and 1,000 miles nobody no good. But everything that I'm saying, you can say just as good. You lie right from your side, and I am right from mine. We're both just one too many mornings and 1,000 miles.
You're listening to 91.9 FM, WUMB Boston, WBPR Worcester, WFPB Falmouth, at 91.7 FM, WNEF Newburyport, WUMT Marshfield, WUMG Stowe, at 88.7 FM, WUMV Milford, New Hampshire, at 1170 AM, WFPB Orleans, and live on the web at WUMB.org.
It's just like the night to play tricks when you're trying to be quiet. Yes, stranded, though we're doing our best to deny it. And Louise holds our hands, but our rain jumped in you to defiance. Flames flicker from the opposite loft. In this room, the heat pipes they carve. The country music station plays soft, but there's really nothing to turn off. Yes, Louise and her lover son and these visions of Johanna that conquer my mind. In the empty lot where the ladies play blind man's glove with the keychain. And the all-night girls, they whisper of escapades out on the D train. We can hear the night watchman click his flashlight, asking sympathy's insane. Louise, she's alright, she's just too near. Like silk, she seems like a mirror. But she just makes it all too clear that Joanna's not here. This pulse of electricity howls in the bones of her face. Where these visions of Johanna have now taken my place. Little boy lost, he takes himself so seriously. He boasts of his misery, he likes to live dangerously. And we're bringing her name up, he speaks of her farewell kiss to me. Yes, he's got a lot of gold to be so useless and small, muttering his small talk at the wall while I'm in the hall. How can I explain why it's so hard to get on? And those visions of Joanna, they kept me up past the dawn. Inside the museum's infinity rolls the bone crowd. Voices echo, this is what salvation must be like after a while. Mona Lisa must have had the highway blues. You can tell by her smile. See the primitive wallflower freeze when the jelly-faced women all sneeze. You're the one with the mustache say, geez, I can't find my knees. Jewels and binoculars hang from the head of the mule. But these visions of Johanna make it all seem so cruel. The fiddler now speaks to the princess who's pretending to care for him. He says, name me someone that's not a parasite, and I'll say a prayer for him. And like Louise always says, you can't look at much, can you, man, and she prepared for him. Madonna, she still has not showed. And we see the empty cage out the road, where her came from the stage once it flowed. The peddler, he steps to the road. Everything's gone which was old. He examines the nightingale's code, still written on a fish struck at load. My conscience explodes. The harmonicas play the skeleton keys in the rain. And these visions of Johanna are all that remain. Bob Dylan from the Bootleg Series, Volume 12, The Cutting Edge. The cover's 1965-66. That is take 5 of Visions of Johanna. Drastically different, right? You gotta, I empathize, I guess, with the musicians who were at those sessions, because they went through so many different versions of each and every song. Very few, especially during that period, were first takes. So a lot of cigarettes smoked, I'm guessing. A lot of wine, or in Dylan's case, Beaujolais, quaffed as well. And we're into the second hour of Highway 61 Revisited. Thanks for joining us. It's our annual All Dylan show as he turned 75 years of age. I make that 77 years of age, day before yesterday. So some of those musicians who were playing with them during that period went and put out an album, the Nashville musicians, called Area Code 615, as in Nashville's area code, all instrumentals, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. We also have Gordon Lightfoot before his first album, covering Dylan, coupled by Sandy Denny's, Fairport Convention, and Fotheringay. I also have those tickets to see David Crosby. And here's the deal. The second you hear the Byrds, just call, okay? 1-800-573-2100. The second you hear the Byrds, and be the 7th caller, and we'll give you those tickets to the Lowell, as part of the Lowell Summer Music Series, when you hear the Byrds. But right now, from the same period, with the same producer, this is Dion from Kickin' Child, 1965. It's All Over Now, Baby Blue.
here at WUMB. You must leave, take what you need, you think will last. He understands you're often with his gun, crying like a fire in the sun. Look out, the saints are coming through, and it's all over now, baby blue. The highway is for gamblers, better use your sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence. The empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheet. The sky too is folding under you, and it's all over now, baby blue. All you see is 6-7, they are rolling home. You have to hand it on me, they are going home. Your lover who just walked out the door has taken all his blankets from the floor. The carpet too is moving under you, and it's all over now, baby blue. Leave your stepping stones behind. There's something that calls to you now. Forget about the dead, they will not follow you. The vagabond who's rapping at your door is standing in the clothes you once wore. Strike another match, go start anew. Oh, it's all over now, baby blue.
You get 60 minutes of music every hour because of listener donations at WUMB.org.
Lay down your weary to lay down. Lay down the song you strung and rest yourself neath the strength of spring. No voice can hold to hum. Struck by these sounds before the sun, I knew the night had gone. The morning breeze like a bugle blew against the drums of dawn. Lay down your weary to lay down. Lay down the song you strung and rest yourself neath the strength of spring. No voice can hold to her. The ocean wild like an organ played. The seaweeds wove in strands. The crashing waves like cymbals flash against the rocks and sand. Lay down your weary to lay down. Lay down the song you strung and rest yourself neath the strength of spring. No voice can hold to her. The last of leaves fell from the trees and clung to a new love's breast. The branches bear like a banjo moan to the winds that listen. The bears lay down your weary to lay down. Lay down the song you strung and rest yourself neath the strength of spring. No voice can hold to her. Nothing was delivered, and I tell this truth to you, not out of spite or anger, but simply cause it's true. Now you must provide some answers for what she said was not received. And the sooner you come up with it, and the sooner you can read. Nothing is better, nothing is best. Take care of your health and get plenty of rest. Nothing was delivered, and it's up to you to say just what you had in mind when you made everybody pay. Now I hope you won't object to this, giving back all that you owe. But the sooner you come up prepared, and the sooner you can go. Nothing is better. Nothing is best. Take care of your health and get ready up there. No, nothing was delivered. I can't say I sympathize with what your fate is going to be. Yes, for telling all those lies. No, nothing was delivered. Yes, and someone must explain. But as long as it takes to do this, then that's how long that you remain. Nothing is better. Nothing is better. Take care of your health and get plenty of rest.
Couple by the Birds, who at last count, they covered, and this includes outtakes too, I'm thinking into the double digits of Dylan songs. And in fact, were one of the first, obviously, electrifying Dylan back in 1964 with Mr. Tambourine Man. And even though they went country on Sweetheart of the Rodeo, they still did a Dylan song. In fact, we're privy to the basement tapes. Nothing was delivered. Always one of my favorites before that, too, from Turn, 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 Lay Down Your Weary Tune. And congrats to the seventh caller who called us just a few minutes ago to get those David Crosby tickets. He was in the Birds at that point in time. Area code 615 before that. The Session Cats, David Briggs, Norbert Putnam, Weldon Myrick, Bobby Thompson, Charlie McCoy, all these folks who played on Dylan albums, Johnny Cash albums, Ian and Sylvia, Beau Brummels, countless others, did the instrumental version of Just Like a Woman, and Dion from Kicking Child, 1965, recorded right next door to Dylan. Same studios, same producers, same musicians. It's all over now. Baby Blue. It is all Dylan. You're on Highway 61 Revisited this morning. We do this every year. If you're new to the show, he turned 77 day before yesterday, and this is, we have a couple of new things that we've never played before. Gordon Lightfoot's first album came out in 1966, but before that he had put out a number of singles up in Canada. In fact, his earliest one was from 1961. You might remember his debut solo album was called Lightfoot with an exclamation point. It was very stripped down, very, it's just him and his acoustic guitar. But this song was released a year before, right when he was signed to United Artists Records. It is a cover of Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues. It is very electric. And that is coming up next here at WUMB.
This week on Music City Roots, we look at our archives back to a 2015 road show on Tennessee's Cumberland Plateau, a special event in the woodsy village of Mont Eagle. We featured old-time original Ashley Caudill, country bluesman Woody Pines, electro-folk duo Tattletale Saints, and Kentucky cello-playing songwriting master Ben Salee. Join us on the mountain for Music City Roots.
This afternoon at 4 on WUMB.
Plan a safer getaway this Memorial Day weekend by upgrading to a safer ride, letting WUMB take care of that less reliable vehicle. From cars and trucks to RVs and trailers, WUMB accepts all types of vehicles as a form of support, and the pickup is always free. Donating is easy. Your gift is tax deductible, and supporting WUMB will bring more value to the start of your summer than any low trade-in deal. Call now or go online now. It's easy. 1-855-WUMB-CAR. That's 1-855-WUMB-CAR. Or visit us online at WUMB.org.
Check out the Dixie B Line, Saturday nights, 9 p.m. to midnight with John Gersh, Vintage Hillbilly. This week we're going to continue our travels down the deep reaches of the catalog here, including one of the best, worst covers of a Jimmy Rogers song ever done, partly in German no less. The Dixie B Line, Saturday nights, 9 p.m. to midnight, only on WUMB.
Greenwich Village, Woodstock, Laurel Canyon. This is Highway 61 Revisited on WUMB.
When you're lost in the rainforest and it's Easter time, when your gravity fails and negativity don't pull you through, don't put on any airs when you're down on New York Avenue. They got some hungry women there, and they really make a mess out of you. See my Linda, the man's all where the goddess of doom. She speaks good English and she invites you up into her room. And you're so kind, careful not to go to her too soon. Then she steals your voice and leaves you howling and blue. Up a housing project hill, it seems a fortune or fame. You must pick one or the other, for neither of them is what they claim. And if you're looking to get silly, you better go back to where you came. Because the cops don't need you, and they expect to stay. I started out on Burgundy, then I hit the harder stuff. Everybody said they'd stand behind me when the game got rough. There was nobody there to even call my bluff. I'm going back to New York City. I do believe I'm in love. I'm going back to New York City. I do believe I'm in love. Close your eyes, close the door. You don't have to worry anymore. I'll be your little baby tonight. Shut the lights, shut the shade. You don't have bad moon's gonna shine like a spoon. You won't regret, you won't forget to get your shoes off. Do not fear. Bring that bottle over here. I'll be your baby tonight. Well, the monkeybird's gonna sail away. You won't regret it. The big bad moon's gonna shine like a spoon. You won't regret, you won't forget to get your shoes on. Do not fear. Bring that bottle over here. I'll be your baby tonight. I'll be your baby tonight.
Listener contributions make it possible. WUMB. You may search at any cost, but how can you search for the snowfall? Everybody will help you. Some people are pretty calm. I can see time. Come on, give it to me. Oh, keep it with I can't help it if I think I'm wrong. If I say I'm not, not for what you are, not for what you're for. Everybody will help you discover what you set out to find.
if I can save your time. Come on, give it to me. Keep it with the train at 10:30. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time again. The conductor is weary. He's still stuck on the line. All I can say is come on, give it to me. Keep it with
Well, too much of nothing can make a man feel ill at ease. One man's temper might start to rise, and another man's might freeze. In this day of long confession, we cannot mock the soul. But when there's too much of nothing, no one has control. Say hello to Valerie. Say hello to Marianne. Send them all my salary on the waters of Libya. Well, too much of nothing can make a man abuse his king. Well, he can walk down the streets and boast like most, but it don't mean a thing. It's all been done before. It's all been written in the book. But when there's too much of nothing, nobody should know. Say hello to Valerie. Say hello to Marianne. Send them all my salary on the waters of Libya. Say hello to Marianne, sitting on my salary on the water top of Marianne. Well, too much of nothing can turn a man into a liar. It can cause some men to sleep on nails and another one to eat fire. Well, everybody's doing something. I saw it in a dream. But when there's too much of nothing, it makes a fellow mean. Say hello to Valerie. Say hello to Marianne. Send on my salary on the water top of Marianne. Say hello to Valerie. Say hello to Marianne. Send on my salary on the water top of Marianne.
That is Father and Gay from their one and only release back in 1970, self-titled. Sandy Denny, the band, she left Fairport Convention to start with their soon-to-be husband, Trevor Lucas, who I'm pretty sure took the lead on that song. Too much of nothing. Fairport Convention, before that, what we did on our holidays, their first with Sandy, doing Dylan's I'll Keep It With Mine. They were one of the first to be privy, and it kind of surprises me because it was supposedly everything that was done, as part of the basement tapes was kind of secret. These lyrics were making their way everywhere, even overseas. They were one of the first to be privy, and they handpicked 2 or 3 for the next album. Before that, from the Hollies Sing Dylan, 1969, one of the reasons Graham Nash left the band. He had what he thought were pretty great songs, and they were great songs. They didn't want to do them. They were all drinkers. He was dabbling in psychedelics and marijuana. And so he up and left the band, and they put out this album called Hollies Sing Dylan. It is exactly that. I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, and Gordon Lightfoot, a 1965 single, full-blown electric, right? Just like Tom Thumb's Blues. The B-side of that was an early version of Ribbon of Darkness. Gordon Lightfoot. So the Byrds, back to the Byrds. As I mentioned, they put out a lot of Dylan songs, much to their chagrin, kind of. I mean, Mr. Tambourine Man hit, and then, the record company says, hey, you should put out another one, and they did, but the only problem being is that Cher put out a cover of that song at the same time, and hers was much more popular. And we'll get to that one after these here on Highway 61 Revisited, WUNB.
For Memorial Day weekend, we're celebrating the musicians and artisans keeping American roots cultures alive. National Endowment for the Arts Heritage Fellows bring blues and bluegrass, Cajun and Tejano music, gospel and klezmer. I'm Nick Spitzer with the National Heritage Fellows on American Roots for PRX.
Tomorrow at noon on WUNB. Join WUNB for our next Third Thursday live concert broadcast. Special guest artist Melissa Ferrick, Thursday, June 21st.
I believe I'm settling in.
UMB's Third Thursday concert series is held at the Bar and Back Room in Davis Square, Somerville. It's open to the public, but WUMB members get a 15% ticket discount. Each show is broadcast in its entirety live on WUMB. WUMB's next Third Thursday concert, live with Melissa Ferrick, Thursday, June 21st. Tickets and info at WUMB.org.
You're listening to Highway 61 Revisited on WUMB.
Now I ain't looking to compete with you. Cheat, I mistreat you. Simplify you, classify you. Deny, defy, mystify you. All I really wanna do is baby be friends with you. Baby be friends with you. Now I ain't looking to fight with you. Frighten you or uptight you. Drag you down or drain you down. Chain you down or bring you down. All I really wanna do is baby be friends with you. Baby be friends with you. I ain't looking to block you up. Dock or rock or lock you up. Analyze you, categorize you, finalize or advertise you. All I really wanna do, yeah, baby, be friends with you. Baby, be friends with you. I don't want to straight face you. Race or chase or track or trace you, or disgrace you, or displace you, or define you, or define you. All I really wanna do, yeah, baby, be friends with you. Baby, be friends with you. Now I don't want to meet your kin. Make you spin or tune you in, or select you, or dissect you, or inspect you, or reject you. All I really wanna do is baby be friends with you. Baby be friends with you. Go away from my window, leave at your own chosen speed. I'm not the one you want, babe. I'm not the one you need. You say you're looking for someone never weak, but always strong, to protect you and defend you, whether you are right or wrong. Someone to open each and every door. It ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for, babe. Go lightly from the ledge, babe. Go lightly on the ground. I'm not the one you want, babe. I will only let you down. You say you're looking for someone who will promise never to harm. Someone to close her eyes for you. Someone to close her heart. Someone who will die for you and more. It ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for, babe. I said no, 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 it ain't me, babe. I said no, 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 it ain't me.
This is WUMB.
way out of here, said the joker to the thief. There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. Businessmen, they drink my wine, plowmen dig my earth. None of them along the line know what any of it is worth. No reason to get excited, but they be kindly spoke. There are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. But you and I, we've been through that, and this is not our fate. So let us not talk false for now. The hour is getting late. All along the watchtower, princess kept the view, while all the women came and went, barefoot servants too. Outside in the distance, a wild cat did growl. Two riders were approaching, and the wind began to howl. Princes kept you, while all the women came and went, barefoot servants too. Outside in the distance, a wildcat did growl. Two riders were approaching, the wind began to howl.
That is Barbara Keith from her self-titled album that came out on Reprise Records, her take on Dylan's All Along the Watchtower. Pretty great version, huh? Actually released as a single, didn't do a whole lot, but she got fed up with the music business and especially a record label and gave up music for a while. And Stone Coyotes, I think is the name of her band that she started up maybe in the late 80s, early 90s. Nancy Sinatra from Boots did It Ain't Me, Babe, and Cher, her debut single, All I Really Want to Do, also the name of her album. She covered a lot of Dylan songs, and she did a good job with it. As I mentioned, the Byrds put out their version at the same time, and hers made it to 15, and theirs stalled at number 40, and they were a little miffed because they accused her and Sonny Bono for going to Ciro's and seeing the Byrds and taping them doing that song, and that was the incentive for her to cover it. So that is the legend behind that one. It is WUNB All Dylan this morning, as we do every year here on Highway 61. We visited one of the newer pleasant surprises that I was unaware of or totally forgot is Stevie Wonder's version of Blowing in the Wind. That is coming up in just a few minutes. Dylan himself with the band, as well as something from Pat Garrett. But right now, Arlo Guthrie here at WUNB.
Oh, the time will come up when the winds will stop. Breeze will cease, be a breather, like the stillness in the wind of a hurricane. Now when the ship comes in, and the sea will split, and the ships will hit, and the shoreline sands be shaking, and the tide will sound, and the waves will pound, and the morning will be breaking. Oh, the fishes will laugh as they swim out of the path, and the seagulls will be a-smiling, and the rocks on the sand will proudly stand. Hour that the ship comes in, and the words that I use but to get the ship confused will not be understood as they're spoken. All the chains of the sea will have busted in the night and get buried at the bottom of the ocean. Yes, song will live as the mains shakes and the boat drifts out to the shoreline, and the sun will respect every face on deck. The hour that the ship comes in, and the sands move down for your weary toes keep touching, and the ship's wise men will remind you once again that the whole wide world is watching. Bulls will rise with the sleep still in their eyes, and they'll jump from their beds and think they're dreaming, and they'll pinch themselves and scream, and they'll know that it's free. The hour when the ship comes in, then they'll raise their hands saying, we'll meet all your demands, and we'll shout from the mouth, your days are numbered, and life's labor's dry, they'll be drowned in time, like good life will be ours.
You're listening to 91.9 FM, WUMB Boston, WBPR Worcester, WFPB Falmouth, at 91.7 FM, WNEF Newburyport, WUMT Marshfield, WUMG Stowe, at 88.7 FM, WUMB Milford, New Hampshire, at 1170 AM, WFPB Orleans, and live on the web at WUMB.org.
How many roads must a man walk down? Oh, Must the white dove said, oh, she sleeps in the sand. How many times must those dead dogs be fired? Oh, they're forever dead. Oh, yeah. Let the treasure that we have, my friend. It's the blood. The answers, no, we know. Oh, yeah. Well, how many years give them out and exit? Yeah, it's fast to the sea. I don't know how many years get a man exit. Oh, he's allowed to be free. How many times can a man turn his head? And he pretends that he doesn't can see. Well, yeah, you know the answer, my friend. It's the Lord. You know the answer. Lord, you know it. Oh, you know that the answer. Lord, you know it. Oh, let me tell you, it's blowing, But it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby. If you don't know by now. It ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby. It don't matter anyhow. When your rooster crows at the break of dawn, look out your window and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm at top of that road. But don't think twice about a ride. Well, it ain't no use in turning on your light, babe. The light that never knows. Well, it ain't no use in turning on your light, babe. I'm on the dark side of the road. Still, I wish there was something you would do or say to try and make me change my mind and stay. But we never did too much talking anyway. So don't think twice, it's all alright. Well, it ain't no use in calling out my name, babe, like you never did before. Well, it ain't no use in calling out my name, babe. I can't hear you anymore. I'm thinking and wondering, walking down the road. I once loved a woman, a child on the cold. I give her my heart, but she wanted my soul. But don't think twice, it's all alright. Down that long, lonesome road, babe, I'm bound. I can't tell the goodbyes until you get it wet, babe. So I'll just say fairly well. I ain't saying if you did me unkind, you could have done better, but I don't mind. You just kind of wasted my precious time. But don't think twice, it's alright.
From 1974's Before the Flood, Dylan and the band, Just What the Doctor Ordered. Very successful tour, very successful album. Both were kind of waning in the public eye at that point in time, and this really, really helped. Don't think twice, it's all right. Stevie Wonder, in his teens, doing Blowin' in the Wind from Uptight that came out in 1966. That is a phenomenal version of that song. As we talked about, about an hour and 10 minutes or so ago, it's just that all these artists, all of these songs are so open to interpretations, and then all these artists run with them in their own direction, kind of make them their own. Third hour, Highway 61 Revisited annual All Dylan show. I'm Albert. Thanks for joining us. Memorial Day weekend. Again, if you're busy today, this morning, we rebroadcast this broadcast on Sunday evenings from 8p to 12a. Got the Four Seasons covering Dylan. They covered a lot of Dylan. We also have Johnny Rivers doing Positively 4th Street. Dylan claims that Johnny Rivers' version is even better than Dylan's version. But right now, let's continue with Dylan himself from Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid. This is the main title theme, Billy, at WUMB.
As the night begins to fall, and the dog will lose their bark, and the silent night will shout from the sounds inside my mind. And I'm one too many miles, and 1,000 miles behind. From the crossroads of my doorstep, my eyes start to fade as I turn my head back to the room where my love and I have laid. And I gaze back to the street, to the sidewalk and the sign. And I'm one too many miles, and 1,000 miles behind. It's a restless, hungry feeling, and it does no one no good. And everything I'm saying, you can say it just as good. You're right from your side, and I'm right from mine. We're both just one too many mornings, and 1,000 miles behind.
You keep the music flowing with your contributions at WUMB.org.
You've got a lot of nerve to say you are my friend. When I was down, you just stood there grinning. You got a lot of nerve to say you've got a helping hand to lend. You just want to be on the side that's winning. You see, I let you down. No, it's not like that. You're so hurt. Why then don't you show it? You say you've lost your faith. That's not where it's at. Have no faith to lose, and you know it. I know the reason she talked behind my back. I used to be among the crowd you're in with. Do you take me for such a fool? Think I'd make contact. One who tries to hide what it don't know to begin with. You see me on the street, always act surprised. Say, how are you? Good luck. I know you don't mean it. When you know as well as I, you never see me paralyzed. Why don't you come out one time and scream it? No, I do not feel that good when I see that satisfied with your position in your fate. Don't you understand? It's not my problem. I wish that for just one time you could stand inside my shoes. Just for that moment, I could be you. Yes, I wish that for just one time you could stand inside my shoes. And you know what a drag it is to see darkness at the break of noon, shadows eating the silver spoon, the handmade blade, the child's balloon, eclipses both the sun and moon. Do you understand? You know too soon. There is no sense of trying. Pointed threats they bluff the scorn. Suicide remarks are torn from the fool's gold mouthpiece, a hollow horn. Lays wasted words, proof to warn that he not busy being born, is busy dying. Temptation page flies out the door. You follow, find yourself at war. Watch waterfalls of pity roar. You feel to moan, but unlike before, you discover that you just be one more person crying. So don't fear when you hear a foreign sound to your ear. It's alright, Mom, I'm only sighing. A question in your nerves is lit, yet you know there is no answer fit. Too satisfied, sure you're not to quit, to keep it in your mind and not forget that it is not you or she or them or it that you belong to. All of the masters make the rules, all the wise men and the fools. I've got nothing, Mom, to live up to. Oh, them that must obey authority that they do not respect in any degree, who despise their jobs, their destiny, speak jealously of them that are free, do what they do just to be nothing more than something they invest in.
From the Easy Rider soundtrack, Roger McGuinn doing It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. Obviously only doing a couple of those many, many verses. Johnny Rivers came out with a pretty great album back in 1968 called Realization. And yes, he had changed like everybody else. All of a sudden, he had the longer hair and the beard and the beads. But he saved the best for last. Very last song on the album, Positively 4th Street. And Dylan has gone on record saying it's better than his. Before that, Johnny Cash, and I'm not sure whether that has ever been released. I found it on YouTube. It dates back to 1964. Talk about open-minded. One Too Many Mornings, 1,000 Miles Behind, and Dylan himself from Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid soundtrack, the main title theme. Coming up, do you know a fellow named Michael Lukowski? Yes, he went by the name Michael Brown. He was the main songwriter and leader, at least for the first album, of The Left Bank. His father was a arranger and violinist named Harry Lukowski, and he was privy to a lot of studio time. And Michael Brown, or Michael Lukowski, put out a single as Christopher and the Chaps back in 1965, before The Left Bank. And yes, the B-side was indeed a Dylan cover. That is coming up next, among others, here at WUMB.
If you've been on the fence, sign up now. Join WUMB in Summer Acoustic Music Week for musical camaraderie and instruction on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. Week 1, July 8 through 14, and Week 2, August 19 through 25, are nearly at capacity. So don't miss your opportunity to learn thumb picking with Alonzo Pennington, harmonica techniques with Trina Hamlin, or even jamming etiquette with Chris James, plus much more. You can find details and you can reserve your spot today at WUMB.org. Don't miss out on your spot at this year's Summer Acoustic Music Week. Sign up today.
If your car seems to prefer winter hibernation to summertime cruising, maybe it's time to upgrade to 4 new wheels this spring and donate to your favorite radio station. Call now to schedule your free pickup. Call 1-855-WUMB-CAR. That's 855-WUMB-CAR, or visit us online at WUMB.org.
This is Highway 61 Revisited with Albert O on WUMB.
Say everything can be a place. Every distance is not here. So I remember everything. Every man who me here. I see my life come and shine from the west to the east. Any day now, I shall be. This day, every man needs they say every man must fall, but I swear I see my protection. Oh, so high, I see my life come shining from where any day now, I shall be. Understand me, it is a lonely crowd. A man who swears he wants to know. I hear his voice calling so loud. just crying out straight. I see my life running anything now, I shall be. If not for you, babe, I couldn't even find the door. I couldn't even see the floor. I'd be sad too, if not for you. For you, in the night, see the white away. But ain't what you really have to play. Nothing to do, if not for you. If not for you, my sky would fall. Rain would gather too. Without your love, I'd be nowhere. If not for you, the winter would hold no spring. Couldn't hear a robin sing. It's written back to me. If not for you. If not for you, my sky would fall. Rain would gather too. Without your love, I'd be nowhere. It's all I lost. Not for you. If not for you, the winter would hold no spring. Couldn't hear a robin sing. I just wouldn't have a clue. If not for you, not for you.
If you like what you hear, contribute today at WUMB.org.
Darkness at the break of dawn, shadows even the silver sun. Lightning gleam at the top balloon, eclipses both the sun and moon. To understand, too soon. There's no sense in trying. All the dreads they pull up the scorn. Suicide remarks is torn. From the fully cold mouthpiece, the hollow horn. Flames raise the birds. Who's the one that ain't not busy being born? It's busy dying. So don't fear if you hear a fart sound to your ear. It's alright, Mom. I'm only sighing. While one sings this tongue on fire, goggles in the red face fire, let that shape society's flies, can't nothing come up any higher, but rather get you down and low, that he can. While creatures create an evil face, Jesus takes that knowledge face, can be $100 place, but even the President of the United States sometimes must have his hands naked. But I mean no harm that would fall on anyone that doesn't fall. But it's alright, Mom. It's life and life You must leave now, take what you need, you think will last. But whatever you wish to keep, you better grab it fast. Yonder stands your orphan with his gun, crying like a fire in the sun. Look out, baby, the saints are coming through, and it's all over now, baby blue. The highway is for gamblers, better use your sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence. Empty-handed leader from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheets. The sky too is falling over you, and it's over now, baby blue. Leave your stepping stones behind. There's something that calls for you. Forget the debt you left, that will not follow you. Your lover who has just walked through the door has taken off his blankets from the floor. The carpet too is folding over you, and it's all over now, baby blue. While striking on the match, yeah, folks finding you, folks finding you. It's all over now, baby blue. Hey, yeah, yeah. It's all over now, baby blue. It's all over now. Oh, yeah. All over now. All over now.
Van Morrison and Them Again, their second album, 1966, their take on Dylan's It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. You might recognize that electric piano intro used, borrowed, sampled by Beck. I don't know how many years later. Krista, and you know what's weird? Van Morrison left the band, and the remaining members, who call themselves Them Belfast Gypsies, recorded by Kim Fowley, did another version of that song that's almost identical. Weird. Before that, Michael Brown, the fellow who headed up the Left Bank before the Left Bank, so he had to be 16 maybe. Christopher and the Chaps, a one-off single. They came out on a major label, actually. This is the B-side. It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. George Harrison from All Things Must Pass did If Not For You. He and Dylan had recorded a version together in May, and then Dylan released it on his album Self-Portrait, I think it was, 1970 in October, and then George Harrison's version came out a month later. And Pearls Before Swine, Tom Rapp, recently deceased, unfortunately, from These Things Too, which I'm pretty sure was the debut album on Reprise Records, major label. I Shall Be Released. We have another version of that song by the Los Angeles Gospel Choir. Yes, I shall explain. Coming up in just a few minutes, but first, or after these, we have the Turtles with their hit version of a Dylan classic, After These. Not to be redundant, here at WUND.
For Memorial Day weekend, we're celebrating the musicians and artisans keeping American roots cultures alive. National Endowment for the Arts Heritage Fellows bring blues and bluegrass, Cajun and Tejano music, gospel and klezmer. I'm Nick Spitzer with the National Heritage Fellows on American Roots for PRX.
Tomorrow at noon on WUMB.
It's WUMB's weekly online giveaway. Each week, a different giveaway for WUMB members. This week, 2 lucky winners will win a copy of the debut collaboration, I'm With Her, from Sarah Jarosz, Aoife O'Donovan, and Sarah Watkins, called See You Around.
I'll see you around.
Not a member of WUMB? Well over half of our budget comes from individual contributions from listeners just like you. That's why it's important to become a member. Go to WUMB.org to find out all the information about becoming a member of WUMB.
Check out the Dixie B Line, Saturday nights, 9 p.m. to midnight with John Gersh, Vintage Hillbilly. This week we're going to continue our travels down the deep reaches of the catalog here, including one of the best, worst covers of a Jimmy Rogers song ever done, partly in German no less. The Dixie B Line, Saturday nights, 9 p.m. to midnight, only on WUMB.
Folk rock from the 60s, 70s, and beyond. This is Highway 61 Revisited on WUMB.
Go away from my window, leave at your own chosen space. I'm not the one you wanted, I'm not the one you need. You say you're looking for someone, never weak but always strong. To protect you and me, whether you are right or wrong. Someone to Oh, when your mother sent back all of your invitations, and your father to your sister explained that you're trying of yourself and all of your creation. Now won't you come see me, Queen Jane? Yeah, won't you come see me, Queen Jane? Now when all the flower ladies want back what they have received, when the smell of their roses does not remain, and all of your children start to resent. Won't you see me, Queen Jane? I think you better come on and see me, Queen Jane. When all of your admirers keep their plastic and your feet to convince you of the pain, try to prove that your solutions should be more drastic. Take me on a trip. That's the time to come see me, Queen Jane. Oh, you come see me, Queen Jane. Now when all the other bandits that you turn the other cheek to, oh, lay down their bandanas and complain. And you want somebody you don't have to speak to. Oh, you turn me on, Queen Jane. What I mean is, come see me, Queen Jane. Now when all the clowns that you have permission have died, yes, they died in so sick of all that confusion. That's the time, that's the time to come see me.
Four Seasons from 1965. Interesting concept for an album. So this is the title. Four Seasons sing big hits by Burt Bacharach, Hal David, and Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan was mostly on the second side of that album. And that is their take, and it's a pretty great one too, of Queen Jane, approximately It Ain't Me, Babe by the Turtles, their debut single that made it to the top 10. From the album of the same name, they also covered Love Minus Zero, No Limit on that album, as well as Like a Rolling Stone. I got to get that last one. Maybe next week we'll get to that. Because we could, as you well know, we could easily do, and this is just within the 60s and 70s, which is Highway 61 Revisited, the show. We could probably do another 4 hours easy. So more versions of I Shall Be released. They have tones coming up. But right now, one of the great original Dylan angles that goes back to 1969, The Gospel According to Dylan. All directed by Lou Adler, the fellow who headed up Ode Records, among other things, out in Hollywood. There's an 18-minute version of All Along the Watchtower. There's a 23-minute version of Chimes of Freedom. This one, I'll say thankfully, is a lot shorter. The Los Angeles Gospel Choir, I Shall Be Released, here at WUNB.
They say everything can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. So I remember every face of every man who put me here. Come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, ooh, I shall be. They say every man needs protection. They say that every man must fall. Yet I swear I see my reflection somewhere so high above this wall. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, ooh, I shall be released. Nobody understands a man in this lonely crowd when he says he's not to blame. All day long, I hear him shouting so loud, just crying out that he was framed. Come shining, oh yeah, from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. Oh, I see my light. I see my light. Oh, come shining. We're coming down to me. Oh, I see my light. Come shining. Down to me. Oh, I see my light. Come shining. Say everything can be replaced. They say everything can but I remember everything. Of everything. I see your light come shining from the west down to the yeah. Any day now, anywhere now, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection. They say every but I swear I see my reflection. So when your eye it goes I see the light come shine from the west down to the east. Yeah. Any day now, anywhere now, I shall be released. Yeah. They say everything can be replaced. They say everything can but I remember everything. Of everything. Yeah. I see your light come shine from the west